Hello, everyone. I'm Mark,
I'm Rob.
and welcome to Mark and Rob's Sports Showdown. I think I woke Rob up. Anyway, great game last night. A lot of things happened. Lively got injured twice, and there's all sorts of explanations that the best closers in history, maybe, or most talented offensive guards in history, according to Van Gundy for Dallas, and they seem to be actually, three times, all three games, Dallas has been in the lead in the last 5 minutes, and so is Minnesota. It's gone back and forth, but all three times Dallas came out ahead. So,
Yeah, I
they're
mean, Dallas is really, for me, I'm sure with other people, they are really the surprise team of the playoffs. I didn't think they would get this far. Also, the way of play, the way they have adjusted their defense, and the way of play. Besides the Knicks, they're the most exciting team to watch right now in the playoffs.
And raise your hand if you pick Dallas to go to the NBA Finals, which hasn't happened yet, but the chances are really good. Really, really. We'll get into that. By the way, don't forget to subscribe and
Oh
hit
yeah,
that notification bell when you do, and make sure you give us some likes and feel free to make intelligent, non-insulting comments, which we get 99% of the time because we have a really smart audience. Uh, and
hmm
uh, and share it with your family and friends so we can grow. We're only been around for less than 2 months. All right. So, anyways, yeah, the chances of a 3-0 comeback in the NBA is right now at 0%. Zero for 154. Four teams have got it to made it go to 7 games, but none of them won. And in the NHL, it's happened 4 times out of 210, less than 2%. And in baseball, it's happened one time out of, I don't know the number because it wasn't in Wikipedia, but it's probably a few hundred because baseball's been around since the 1800s.
So
So
what you're
anyway,
saying is, no chance.
I'm saying there's very, very no. So at some point, someone's going to come back from 0 to 3 in the NBA because it's happened 4 times in hockey. It makes no sense that it would never happen. It's happened once in baseball, but so far it's never happened. That's all I can say.
Oh, okay.
I think the way they're closing the games out and the way Dallas is playing, even though they do have an injury to Lively, she has a sore neck and he probably had a concussion.
Yeah.
I don't see them winning 4 straight. But they're not playing the defense they were like in game 2 or a lot of the series in Denver. So they're never going to win if they don't crank up the defense. I mean, Anthony
Right.
Edwards had a great game and they wasted it yesterday.
Right. I mean, Minnesota finally played a better game, but again, Dallas came out on top because they're playing much harder, rebounding, and like I said, I mean, the defense. I'm really surprised by how the defense has really stepped up. They're doubling on Edwards, and he doesn't seem to realize what to do with the basketball. So they're coach Jason Kidd's doing a great job of as far as trying to shut him down.
Well, rebounds are even, but it was 33-32. It doesn't really make a difference. Free throws were 26 for 31 for Dallas and 12 for 17 for Minnesota. So they're probably not driving to the basket as much. And then they only made 12 free throws. But,
No, they're driving to the basket. They're driving to the basket, but like I said, that main person that Dallas picked up, the center, Gafford, he is blocking shots. He's like, "Don't come in my house," type deal, and also altering his shots. So that's kind of intimidating Minnesota players a lot.
yeah, I said in the beginning of the playoffs that I don't like any team where their star players don't play defense and set the mood, set the tone for the team. But Doncic had 5 steals last night, so you
Yep.
can't get 5 steals playing no defense. Sorry, I know he's not consistent during the regular season with defense, and neither is Irving, but they're both playing better defense than they ever have. And I think that's part of the key too, because they set the tone for the whole team. And then you've got Lively, who unfortunately got injured last. We talked about that. He got hit in the man zone, which was an
Yeah.
accident. The guy was just driving. I guess it was Carl Anthony Towns was driving to the basket, but he was jumping up. I don't think it was on purpose. And then the
Right.
next time he hit him in neck. Oh no, it was accidental. As he fell
Actually,
down,
yeah, he
Towns
fell
was
down.
going to the basket. His head and his
Mhm.
neck hit his knee, and
Right.
he was out. So we don't know the extent of the injury right now. We just know that happened somewhere early in the second quarter, I think, 8 minutes left maybe, and he didn't come back. And he was really shooken up, which is too bad because he's a rookie and he's playing great. He's playing obviously better than any rookie in the playoffs, and so we'll see what happens.
I think that also that Minnesota's and they made a point of it in the game, the announcers, which I noticed too. They kept on switching. He's the defensive player of the year, Joe Barra, onto a guard, which is like, what are you doing? And every time they did it, he got burnt. Which is, I mean, yeah, he's a defensive player, but he can't guard someone that small. They kept on switching and they kept on scoring. I was going, why are you doing this? Stop switching.
Yeah,
Just
I
stay
think we
with your
talked about
play.
this last time. It's harder to trap Dallas because Doncic is tall. So,
Mm-hmm.
Murray's not tall, Jamal Murray, and he was injured the first 2 games. So it's harder to trap them and put that swarming defense on they had against Denver because he'll just throw over you. And he's a great passer.
Well, I'm talking about the switching where they have
No, I
someone.
understand that. I was just making a separate point. I
Yeah.
wasn't. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to change the subject. I was just talking about the fact that their defense just is not the same as last series, and I think it's harder when your point guard is so tall
Mm-hmm.
because you trap him and he throws over you, and
Right.
he's a great
He's
passer.
got great vision. Yeah, he's got great vision, and that's why we're getting those points inside, the lob slams and the
Yeah,
points inside. He's just
and Kendrick
killing them with
Kendrick
that.
Perkins has to reconsider the fact that he keeps saying these white guys who are overrated, like Jokic and Doncic, because they're not. And you know what? If you're a white player from Europe, you're less likely to get overrated than a white player from the U.S. Just because they're not homegrown here, they're not national heroes. So I don't think they really are. I mean, those players just have great skills, even though
Well,
Doncic didn't have
that,
the
that's
defense, and he
that's
whines too much still for calls.
that's a subject we got to cover right there. I know it's in one of our mindsets to cover that. But yeah, I
Right.
mean, they have more experience because they've been playing longer,
He
and they
started
played.
pro
I
at
mean, the
13.
competition. Well, the competition is a lot better. You got people that 17-year-olds playing against 20-something-year-olds already over in Europe, so they've already got the experience. So it doesn't bother them when they come to the NBA.
And he's playing with 4 injuries. And I don't think that's exaggerated. He's got a sprained knee, a sore ankle, a sore back, supposedly. And people joke about him that he needs to get on the treadmill and lose weight. He has a wide body, so his bone structure is wider. So he looks heavier than he is, although he could lose a few pounds. He's not fat though. But
But, but don't you,
anyways,
but don't you think the main thing that's really helping Dallas, the main thing, is with the chemistry between him and Irving, how
yeah,
they are. I mean, everybody said that, oh, it's not going to work, and they're showing up. A lot of people like, yeah, it's working, and it's
I
working very,
think
very well.
Irving finally figured out that the earth is round. And
Yeah,
that improved everything about his game.
I think you're right.
That's what I think happened because he's
Yeah,
playing better defense. He's passing as well as he ever has. He's playing as good as defense as he ever had, and was always a great offensive player. Although I will take issue with something Van Gundy said he had, the best handles ever. He's doing it by doing it illegally because he carries the ball and palms the ball all the time. He
you know,
basically dribbles in the bottom.
they all
People
do.
like
Yeah,
Kenny Anderson, Isaiah Thomas. I don't even like Isaiah Thomas. I'm sticking up for him here. We're much better legal dribblers than Irving or any of the modern players because
yeah.
they had to do it legally.
I think it started with Tim Hardaway with that so-called killer crossover. I'm like, you
That was
mean
a
killer?
slight carry, but he didn't carry nearly as much as the
Yeah,
players
these
do now.
guys. Oh yeah, these guys. I'm like, wow.
His was like from the side carry. These are from
I
the
mean,
bottom carry.
right.
Seriously, the more every year they carry and palm more and more, and
Yeah.
that's a big advantage offensively. To say that the greatest handlers, the greatest dribblers, is simply not true because they're not. You're not comparing apples with oranges. That's all I'm trying to point out.
Right.
That
No,
doesn't
you're
mean they're
correct.
not great players for today's era because obviously that's allowed in the rules right now.
No, you're correct. I mean, same thing with the traveling. I mean, they don't call that. I'm like, they get away with this carrying and traveling. No wonder the players can score.
Yeah, I will say about Doncic, people say he's overweight, but he doesn't get tired in the fourth quarter so much. So, he's closing games out really well for someone who's supposedly overweight, and you might think he'd be tired. That's all I can say.
I
But if
I
go
think
watch
he's
Kenny
surprising.
Anderson dribble the ball, though, it was like a yo-yo when he dribbled it.
Oh yeah,
It wasn't like this. If you can see my hand, it was like
yeah.
this. Kenny
Right.
Anderson. Anyway, so that was my take on that basic part of it. But I just think if Dallas keeps closing games out, they're not going to win 4 straight, obviously.
Right.
But I think they're going to close it out in Game 4. Actually, I think they
Right.
have enough confidence and they have their number right now.
That's the thing right there. They got the confidence, and they're playing. They're the best playoff team playing together right now. They're playing together as a team with the confidence. So yeah, they're doing a great job. I am surprised.
Rob, I'm sure everybody's surprised. Unless you're a Dallas fan, tell me anybody outside of Dallas predicted Dallas to make the finals. Like you predicted the Knicks. Tell me anyone outside of the Knicks fans predicted them to make the finals. Nobody predicted them. People
Right.
predicted the three teams that were obvious out of the West. Any of those teams made good sense, other than OKC was young, and of course not Denver, Minnesota, OKC, and of course Boston. And it looks like Boston's going to be in unless they drop 4 straight to a team that doesn't even have their point guard, which is going to be almost impossible. And I just don't see Minnesota coming back. And Karl Anthony Towns, he keeps telling everybody he's the greatest,
he's
tall man shooter, whatever, however he words it.
Oh.
Dirk Nowitzki and Kevin Durant may have some say about that, but he needs to be more consistent than if he's going to go bragging all the time, because he's consistent.
They were talking about trading for him with the Knicks, and I was like, no, this guy is this is fake.
It's like he does rebound and play defense.
It's false gold. I mean, why? How they have a bigger team or big S team as Dallas, and yet they're getting the lobs inside with Gobert and him inside. What is he doing? He's one of the biggest players out there, but he's not making any kind of factor on defense or on offense.
No, and no, not at all. And I don't know what his problem is, but he's inconsistent. And Gafford was good defensively yesterday. He had 3 blocks. He didn't have 5 points, but he made an impact with his defense and his hustle and his blocks. So you really point that out. And anytime Washington seems to be hitting, he was 2 for 6 on threes, but he had 16 points. They seem to win. But here, just for sake of completeness, Doncic was 10 for 20, 5 for 11 in threes, and he had 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and a block, and only 3 turnovers. For someone who handles the ball constantly, that's good. And Irving had 33 points also. They each scored 33, 12 for 20, 3 for 6, and he chipped in 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and a steal. And he did have 4 turnovers. But unfortunately, Lively.
PJ Washington is one he's the key. He always hits the key shots near the end with a closeout. I mean, there was one game where he didn't score anything until like the fourth quarter, that key 3-pointer. But he's also a big key with Dallas. He was 5 for 10. He had 2 for 6 and a 3-point. He had 16 points. His rebounding and 8 rebounds. So yeah, he's a factor. Also, even though he's not through the whole game. He played 40 minutes this time, but last game he wasn't that good until he hit that 3-pointer. That's what he does.
But Jones was 3 for 3 on threes, and Lively in only 9 minutes of play, he was 3 for 3. He had 3 rebounds and 2 assists and a block in 9 minutes of play. That 11 people passed him up on the draft this year. Yeah. That's all I can say is, you never know. Obviously, if he was better at Duke than he's playing right now, people would have drafted him. But you never know who's going to be a great player. You can't measure heart at the combine. That's all I can say.
Exactly.
But anyways, we should mention again Anthony Edwards, at least his stats, because we mentioned he played great and he was aggressive. He wasn't perfect, but he was 0 for 2 for 3. But he had 11 for 24. He scored 26 points, but he had 9 assists and 9 rebounds and 2 steals. So his all-around game was there, even though his 3-point shot wasn't there. Right. And Conley shot well too. He had 16 points. He was 4 for 7 for 3, 6 for 11. But Towns was 5 for 18 and 0 for 8 from threes. He did get 11 rebounds. You don't want to say he sucked, and he does play good defense, but he 0 for 8. That's why they lost. I mean, look at the threes, 9 for 30, 30%. And that was obviously for Minnesota, and 14 for 28, 50% from Dallas. So 5 more threes, and they shot 50%.
Well, that's what's driving me nuts with these big guys. I mean, I've never seen them. I mean, settling for a 3-pointer, you're 6'11", 6'10", get your butt inside and post up. You definitely have a mismatch. So you should work on that game, your inside game, instead of trying to pump up those 3-pointers. That's what's really where it's hurt. At least the big man, they think the 3-pointer is going to be, get them in as far as scoring and playing better. But just post up. No one's going to stop you. Kevin McHale type moves.
Kevin McHale, they don't know post-up moves like Kevin McHale and Elijah Wan.
No, they don't.
I don't know. It's a lost. I'm still confused by why they have to totally abandon that part of basketball just because the 3-point shot is really important.
Yeah.
Everyone's been confused that's followed basketball since 1969, why nobody duplicated the skyhook from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And now they're never going to, because now they're all into 3-point shots. So that's never going to happen. It didn't happen even when the 3-point shot wasn't in style, so.
Right.
I don't know. I can't explain to you why low post moves shouldn't be abandoned. Those are still key.
I mean, you get two big guys. You set a screen, either Gobert sets a screen for him and he gets it in the post. Turn around and just bank it off the backboard or dunk it.
Look at how effective Jokic was in that third quarter of I don't know, it was a game 4 or 5 where he just he just backed up into the low post move. He had great footwork. If you have great footwork, it really helps on your low post moves. And people need to learn that. That's what I noticed that the women in the WNBA need to work on their footwork.
Yeah.
We won't get into that right now, but the men too, though, because they're not practicing. They're too busy practicing the 3-point shot and dunks. Oh, by the way, Anthony Edwards has it.
Oh, that was
last night.
I was
out of my seat for that. That was the replay. You could see how high he was. Wow.
He dunked right on Gafford. I was like, oh my goodness.
There haven't been many great dunks in the playoffs. And that was the best one I've seen this year in the playoffs. So it was
now that goes into the fact what they were talking about, which he kind of passed off, says no way, the comparison between him and Michael Jordan. And I mean, do you think that it's kind of
right now his team's 0-3, down 0-3.
Yeah.
Jordan and they have the better record. So that never happened to Jordan, trust me.
Yeah. Do you think that's fair? I mean, he already said, but you think it's fair to some of the athletes where they start comparing?
I don't think it's fair to compare to anyone to Jordan unless they're as good or better than Jordan. And the chances of that happening aren't too great because it hasn't happened for the last 30 years. So
yeah. So I mean, but he even he's like, nah, no way. What are you talking about?
Well, Jordan, see, you don't understand. Jordan's defense was so good, not only because of his effort he put into it, because he had the physical skills to make it. He had really quick reflexes and speed and good height and long arms and big hands. And so he was able to get steals and blocks and good jumping ability based upon partly with his athletic ability. And he was a very unique individual, which is why he's the greatest player of all time, because not only he had the intensity on defense and competitiveness, but he also had the physical abilities and skills that were perfect for basketball.
Right, but I think
that's never going to happen.
People again with the knee jerk thing. Oh, he reminds me of Michael Jordan. I'm like, hold on.
Let's let him win a couple championships and a couple MVPs before we get there. And, he might. He's a great player.
Even then, Mark, come talk to me. Even then, still not even close.
I don't think he's got the same physical skills. Michael Jordan, like I said, had Kobe had similar physical skills than Jordan, but he's a little shorter. He's a couple inches shorter. He's listed at 6'4", but like I said, when he's next to Irving, it looks like the same size, and Irving's listed at 6'2". So I'm confused by that. So someone can explain that to me. I looked up the combine, and Irving was 6'1" 3/4" in the combine. Maybe he continued to grow. I don't know. Some people, he came out at age 19. Some guys continue to grow after 19. I didn't, unfortunately.
Poor guy. It's okay. We still like you, Mark.
As you can tell, I'm 7'6". You can tell.
He's got the chair,
So anyway, who knows? Maybe Irving's taller now, but he looks the same height as Anthony Edwards. Anyway, I think they're in big trouble. It's not hard. It's not hard to say that, right? A 10-year-old could say that right now.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't see a solution. I don't see a solution unless they can crank up the defense. And like I said, I don't think it's going to work against Doncic. So
what about tonight's game?
I think they're going to close it out. I just think they have their number. But if Karl Anthony Towns goes 8 for 8 instead of 0 for 8, they could easily win the game. They're at home. Yeah. But then Dallas will go back and win it. They're either going to win it in 4 or 5, I think. I just see Dallas having so much confidence right now and feeling they have their number. I just don't think their chances are too great.
I mean, tonight, Boston and Indiana game tonight.
Oh, Boston, Indiana. Oh,
sorry.
I think Boston will close it out. As far as hamstring injury, we don't even know if he's playing tonight. I didn't look it up. If he's playing
even if he was playing, I think it's still.
It's going to be questionable, and then if he plays, he'll be limited, and then won't do any good anyways.
Maybe Tatum's. I think maybe Tatum's. He's starting to get back to where he's playing like Tatum finally because
Tatum had a great game last game.
Yeah, so we'll see.
But he's been inconsistent all playoffs.
Yeah, he's been. Yeah,
but
average. We say average. I wish I could score 22 points in that playoff game.
And they still don't know whether Porzingis is coming back or when he's coming back. But either way, the finals start the same date regardless. They're starting June 6th, regardless of whether these are 4-0 or 4-7. They're starting June 6th. So they'll both get a rest if they can close it out in 4 games. There's no guarantee, like we said, but So it's likely these are not going to be long series. It's going to be 4 or 5 game series.
That'll be a fun matchup with Irving coming back to Boston. That's going to be whoa. That's going to be something.
Oh, but they didn't like him there because at the time he didn't play team ball, and he's a head case. But I know he's 32 years old. Sometimes people mature. They mature late. Yeah. Guys mature late. Irving just matured a little later. Yep. He didn't really know anything about science until recently, I think. So
yeah, I think I don't know who his I don't know how he got to science class, but
but it's interesting that he couldn't be 1B to LeBron in his prime, but he feels comfortable being 1B and 2 against Lukic, and that's just maturity.
Yeah.
No, he wants to win another championship.
Well, I think he realized it. I think he's finally realized, like you said, the little light bulb was going off in his head, like, hey, I can actually win this.
Finally, at age 32, the light bulb went off.
Finally, yeah. I mean, well, like you said, people mature differently.
It was pretty dim for 31 years.
It was, what was that? The lights on, nobody's home type thing.
All right. Well, Irving's playing well. We shouldn't pick on too much, but I'm not a fan of but I do think he's very talented. I think he has enough talent to be first or second team All-Pro every year.
To be one of
his ability level.
He's definitely on the level to be one of the premier guards in the NBA. Yet he tends to be a goof. So, but
very rarely makes the All-Pro team.
Right.
Right. Anyway, so that's our show for today. We're gonna do one on. You had a question for me, Rob, or something?
Oh, that's the next. Recording.
Oh, okay. And we're gonna do a special video on Caitlin Clark about why there's so many extreme opinions on her and objectivity and haters and lovers and stuff like that. We're gonna do another one, and they have a 3-day break. I guess they play again Tuesday, so they're finally get a little rest. Maybe Clark will shoot better, and we'll see what happens. Have fewer turnovers when she's a little bit rested, but she's not gonna be rested until next year. Really, because there's no break. She'll be rested over the off season. She can work on her game and do all sorts of good stuff.
All right.
So anyways, don't forget to please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Feel free to make intelligent, not insulting comments. And our station's growing quickly. Channel. We got 10,000 views on our last video, and the one before that only got 100. So we appreciate your support. And don't forget to share it with other people and let ESPN know. We got a really nice compliment.
Yeah, we got a compliment.
We got one compliment says, "You guys are a lot better than those bobbleheads on ESPN who talk over each other." So, we're better than bobbleheads. How can you beat that type of channel? Better than bobbleheads.
That's right. We're better than bobbleheads. All right. Peace out.
How can you beat that? All right. Peace out, Rob.